Erin Blanchfield, highly, highly touted right here. And you cannot deny that she is a dark horse in this division. It doesn't matter that she's ranked number 10 currently. She was slated to fight number 1. So Jessica Andrade has been asked a lot, do you have any motivation fighting Blanchfield at number 10? And she said 2 things. She said, 1, well, somebody gave me an opportunity to fight up the ranking, so I'm going to give someone else that opportunity. Not always the wisest decision. And number 2, well, there is something in this for me. If I beat Blanchfield handedly, I get another shot at Wei Li Zhang. Strawweight division, even though we're fighting in flyweight. So first off, make that make sense to me really quickly. How does Jessica Andrade solidify a strawweight title shot with a win over the number 10 ranked flyweight contender?
Yeah, now this is a bit of a stretch, Derek, but I think it's because this sport is a sport of what have you done for me lately? I stepped in on a short notice, Uncle Dana. I whooped the number 2's ass, Uncle Dana. You got to give my back a little bit of a scratch. Let me at Wei Li. Let me mix up the top of the deck, see what happens. I don't know, Derek. What do you think?
Well, I mean, like I said, it's number 10, not number 2, but she was going to fight number 1, so that number 10 is a little bit different. Either way, I thought Jessica Andrade would want more of a rematch with Valentina. So I was thinking you beat Blanchfield, who was fighting number 1. Maybe that sets up a number 1 contenders fight against Santos again, and winner of that, because they both lost. I don't know. Either way, that's neither here nor there. There is incentive for both of these fighters. Now let's actually talk about it. Jessica Andrade on short notice opens up as a minus 150 favorite. Question, does Jessica Andrade on a full camp still open as a minus 150 favorite, or do you think that number swells a bit?
I think that number swells quite a bit, Derek, and I think you're right to also say jump on these numbers early, because we're going to see this number push. Once the money starts coming in on Vegas' side, man, we're going to see these numbers kind of grow and move around a little bit. But don't get me wrong, man, Erin Blanchfield is very much a dark horse in this division, as well as a very slept-on kind of a fighter. I'm glad you pointed out that Andrade taking this as a short notice fight, giving a young gun a shot because somebody else did, usually doesn't bode that well going forward for the fighters. You know, it's always good to have a hand down, extend that ladder to the homies, but when those homies are taking your lunch money, it's a little unjustified, if you will. I'm excited to see this, how it goes with Andrade. Do you think it's as big of a worry as she needs to be in, or are we going to see an outclassing on the feet from Andrade?
Well, here's the thing, man. To answer this literally specifically, because this is what worries me, Jessica Andrade has fantastic jiu-jitsu. I talk about it all the time. If you're a fan of this program, you know how much we respect Jessica Andrade. Now, Lauren Murphy was able to take Andrade's back multiple times in that fight. Now, Andrade did what she literally always does. It's the bread and butter, right? So she gets her back taken. She fights the hands. If she gets brought down to her knees, she fights the hands, and then she goes to the single leg, and she tries to come up every single time. This worries me because if Erin Blanchfield takes her back, I'm not sure if simply fighting the hands is going to be enough, right? Shevchenko did a good job, took Andrade down like 7-8 times or whatever the case may be before finishing her. Lauren Murphy was never able to do so. But then you got to look at Erin Blanchfield, and you have to look at, actually, let me pull it up really quickly, man, because I was just watching this fight. Erin Blanchfield had fought, it was JJ Aldrich, right? Fantastic grappler in her own right, JJ Aldrich. And what happens, man? It got to that front choke position, right? So if you come up on a single, that front choke position, Erin Blanchfield cranked in the guillotine, high elbow guillotine, got her out of there, standing too. And Jessica Andrade, I do believe, is going to be the shorter fighter here. So I think she needs to be a little more concerned than she currently is. I think that Jessica Andrade says, hey, I just kind of trained for a similar opponent, Lauren Murphy, very time-tested. This shouldn't be that much different. However, it is short notice, and that does take into account here. The question, or the concern that I had originally, though, right, was if Erin Blanchfield doesn't set up her grappling, will she be able to effectively grapple? Hard to shoot a takedown when you're off your back foot, right? So Jessica Andrade, I think that we've seen the first round blitz of Andrade time and time again, and it almost always works. Why wouldn't it work against an Erin Blanchfield here?
The only reason I can think, because I was actually thinking the same thing, Derek. Rush in, blitz in, bully her up, get her up against a cage, put her into your position and what you want to do. The only thing that worries me with that kind of aggression, Blanchfield knows that's coming. All it is letting her step off the line, and then now you're working in on your own takedown. Let her do the work for you and use that momentum against you, especially being the bigger fighter, being the one who's a little more prowess in the ground game. Pretty close fight right there. But either way, I feel like Blanchfield has that kind of in her back pocket, and that aggression can go against Andrade. That worries me right there, as well as the adrenaline dump that comes with an Andrade kind of style of fight. You know, if she doesn't get her out of there in the first round, it's going to be a lot what feels like a lot longer of a fight for Andrade, a little more labored, a little heavier. She does have a gas tank, don't get me wrong, but still in a 5-round fight, short notice, who knows how the weight cut's going to go. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered right there.
Absolutely, and that's the biggest thing. That's what makes this interesting, is that it's short notice. So does Andrade, is she going to last past 2 rounds, right? 3 rounds of beating up on Lauren Murphy. You got to remember, too, her hands are probably still a little busted up from beating up on Lauren Murphy, man. So she literally said, she's like, I had to stop punching her because my hands hurt so bad mid-fight. AJ, I'm going to tell you this much, and I'm sure if anybody has any combat sport experience, you know, if you're competing, if you're mid-competition and you feel something hurt, that thing is going to hurt like crazy when you're not competing. That's all that adrenaline, and it still hurts. So it goes to show right here, man, we have kind of damaged goods in Jessica Andrade in terms of coming off that fight, which levels it out. I mean, Erin Blanchfield said it herself. This makes it kind of even competition for us. I just really think if Blanchfield can't get the takedown, it's going to be very, very tough for her to win. So let's just like level with me here, man. Is Erin Blanchfield's only chance against Andrade specifically, is her only chance taking her down?
Maybe not only chance, Derek. I think the only other different option I see here, something in the scramble, something in the guard, or not in the guard, in the Muay Thai plum, you know, sitting there in the clinch, getting things going. It's a hard fight, though, and what's good for Blanchfield right now is she is a lot more motivated and has a lot more going for this fight. It seems like Andrade can kind of get lost in the minutia of the weight cut and everything else that's surrounding it, and not necessarily worried about the person standing across from in the cage. So on this one, I think it's more of a strategical game plan for Andrade a strategical game plan for Blanchfield versus that mental, physical battle that Andrade is going to have to deal with. Sure, she's a smaller fighter, but this is a smaller weight class again. Yeah,
100%, man. I mean, this is a bigger weight class ultimately for Andrade, right?
For Andrade.
But either way, this is the question that I think looms largest overall. And we need to talk about the props here, right? Are we seeing another one of those situations that we saw with Yair Rodriguez where Jessica Andrade has this plus 800 for her submission prop, man? Like, time and time again, I literally think people just view her as a striker. They don't think that she has any jiu-jitsu, which kind of blows my mind. Is there a chance we see a submission here on behalf of Jessica Andrade?
I think so, especially like you said, Derek, that plus 1,200 or 12,000, whatever it was on Yair Rodriguez, man. With the ground game and the pressure that Andrade is going to be putting on, as well as Blanchfield going to be trying to work for her own submissions, I think we can see some doors open up and really let Batisteca kind of show us a shining of a light that she hasn't in quite a while, you know? I think the prop is a good idea, maybe not one to fully put, you know, all your money on, but it's still a good bet nonetheless.
I mean, are we living and dying by this plus 160 TKO? I'm just not sure. Part of me, in a weird way, thinks Erin Blanchfield might be able to take it 5 rounds. I don't know if she'll win the 5 rounds. I feel like it's more in her favor if it goes 5 rounds. But something, and this is just me being honest, man. I love me some Jessica Andrade. I think she's going to win this fight. But and this is going to sound nuts, even though I have to make a pick, I kind of like the money line more than I like any of these props, bro. I don't know if she's going to get that TKO, and I don't know if she'll get that decision. I think she's going to win, but I do think Erin Blanchfield is going to have one of those performances where we say, wow, she's fucking legit. Like, I literally think she went from a win-win situation against Santos to a win-win situation with Jessica Andrade. Nothing has really changed on her half. She's like, I just want to fight. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I can see why you think that, Derek, and I also think this is going to be a kind of a performance from Blanchfield that shows the rest of the world that this girl is ready for the scrap, whether she wins or she loses. I'm picking for Andrade to win this fight. I'm also going with the TKO, but I'm going late, and I think it's going to come from a ground and pound, a tired, or something like that, the ref having to step in. I'm going Jessica Andrade, TKO, round 4.
I like the pick, man. And even though I said what I just said right now, watching back, seeing JJ Aldridge being able to land clean and flush on Blanchfield and, you know what I mean, just have much more success than you would really anticipate. Jessica Andrade is just a different level, man. When she cracks, she hurts her, right? So give me a 3rd round TKO for Jessica Andrade. We're both taking the TKO on that one. So that's a super Bloody Water podcast consensus. Both Andrade, both TKO on that one. Let's move on to the co-main event. But I'm going to tell you, before we move on, Erin Blanchfield, win or lose, it does not matter. Keep an eye on her, man. They're not hyping her up for no reason. She is legitimate.